Dearly redheaded, we are choosing consciousness today to get through this thing called grief. Interesting word, grief. It means love, which makes for a mighty good joke, but I'm here to tell you, there's nothing else. Just joy. And if the big picture tends to bring you down, go crazy once your life goes. Woo!
Will, you and I were, in the last episode, sort of ending as to speculating about the issue they had with you. You said you're 6'1", you went into the sport 185, and you crept up to about 214, 215?
Yes.
So I said to you, beyond the coaches having issue, other athletes may have had an issue with your strength and abilities. And you said you didn't really have issues with the other athletes. It was the coaches. And then you reminded me that many coaches were former athletes. So psychologically, I know what that says to me. Do anything you want to elaborate there before we move on?
No, well, actually, in the 2003, they had me signing autograph posters for the crowds, and
that's at Lake Placid.
It was in Lake Placid that year, and so there was a poster, and on that poster there were two pictures, and so in 2002, there was one American team that finished with a silver medal. There was 3 black athletes on that team, and that driver, he selected his own team, and so the other team was all white athletes. So the black athletes raced with their sleeves up, and they didn't wear a shield. And we that's kind of how we usually race, the black athletes do. And the white athletes had shields on and had their sleeves down. So on that poster, I noticed after I autographed some of these things, they actually put shields on the black athletes, and they took the shields off on the white athletes and doctored their face in there.
What's the significance of the shield? What do you mean by a shield?
The shield is they covered up their face, and you couldn't see a black face on there. You didn't see black skin on those posters.
Oh my God! Okay.
Yeah, and I saved that poster. It's back at one of my homes in the Midwest, so I have it somewhere. And it was an eye opening.
So who was behind having you autograph these posters?
Oh well, it's our Olympic Federation, our Bobsled Federation. It was those guys.
So in that way, they were trying to capitalize on you being there.
Man, I don't know what they were up to, but I just know they covered up the black skin and showed all the white skin, and it was the opposite of how they raced.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to recap for my own edification. So that described your experience in Lake Placid. And in Lake Placid, you were doing the 2 and the 4?
Yes.
Did you place?
I think we finished top 10 that year in the World Championships.
And
we finished like top 10, yes.
All right, and that's when the coaches were still picking the teams. You referenced a black driver that was able to pick his own team, and it sounds like whoever that person was doing groundbreaking alongside what you're experiencing. Yes.
Well, actually, it was a white athlete, Todd Hayes. He picked his own team.
So he was white and picked 3 black athletes.
Yes.
Was he the driver?
Yeah, he's the driver, yes.
Okay. Keep going.
And he brought his own money.
Okay. I got it. I'm just trying to keep going.
But let me actually clear that up. He had 2 black athletes and one white athlete as a push athlete. That white athlete was Pavle Jovanovic. But we'll talk about him a little bit later. That's the one I told you he called me speaking gibberish and went on to, kill himself. That's Pavle. But the other black athlete was an alternate, and Pavle, actually, he got some tainted protein powder. It had some kind of something that gave him it flagged his drug test, And so he was kicked out on Olympic Day, and the other black athlete took over. The irony of that is that black athlete was adopted. He always thought he never knew he was black. He thought he was white or Hispanic and white. And he just did his DNA a couple weeks ago. Well, a couple years ago, and found out that he's actually Nigerian. And but he was one of my best friends. He was also my college teammate at Weber State University. We had some epic long jump battles over the years. But yeah, he's a great guy. And he he cut his wrist and he attempted suicide twice. But he's also an Olympic silver medalist. So it's a lot of ickiness up there around this stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so if I understood you correctly, the white guy who picked his team had a black man that was an alternate, and that's because Janovic got the tainted powder.
Yes.
And then that brought the alternate in.
Yes.
And that's
3 black athletes.
Okay, and that's your friend as you just described.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, so where are you in this mix? You were competing against them at Lake Placid, correct?
No, which year are we talking about? Was that the first Olympic year, 2002?
Well, that's what I'm trying to get to. Was that the next Olympics game?
The next Olympic game would have been 2006.
Yeah,
was the next one. Yeah, and that's when I had the issue when they kicked me out of camp. That was before that one. So I never got a chance to race World Cup that year. I got bounced down. I had to grab any team I could just to stay around, and I wound up racing like America's Cup circuit. I didn't go back to the World Cup, the circuit after that, and they kept me off that World Cup circuit every year after 2003.
So you did not compete, or you did compete in 2006?
I competed, but I did the only race that I did compete in that year was the race where I took that young kid and we beat the Olympic teams, and then they canceled the race.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. All right. So you get through 2006, and are you still racing?
Well, at that time, I announced my retirement. I said, enough is enough. I'm done. And the next season, a gentleman named Grayson Fertig called me. He asked me if I could help him. He said the coaches are trying to tell the other push athletes not to race with him. Same stuff they were doing to a lot of us. And so that's why this thing, I wasn't always sure if it was racism or if they just didn't like me, because they always did a lot of weird stuff to a lot of people. And matter of fact, when I first started the first year, I noticed all these athletes had lawyers. And I said, why? What sport would people walking around with lawyers for? And I quickly found out why they all needed lawyers. It's the most cutthroat sport I've ever been around. See, with most teams you ever get on, you know who you can depend on. You know, use your teammates, but bobsled team is totally the opposite. You don't trust anybody. Even to this day, if I ever leave my water bottle out of sight, I throw it away, because I'm always afraid somebody's going to take my water bottle with steroid or with something that's going to give me a dirty drug test, because everybody's fighting for the same top 10 jobs in the country. You know, so you really have hundreds trying to get 10 spots.
Wow. That's competitive.
Yeah.
All right.
I loved it, you know. Yeah. I don't mind putting up one man against another man. Like, I have no problem with that. But the political and the cheating that they did is awful.
So continue. After the Olympics, this gentleman contacts you. He was having similar issues. I forget his name.
His name is Grayson Fertig. And so I said, you know what? I haven't been training, Grayson. I said, I feel like my body is aging. I was like, I can feel all the aches and pains. I said, I can't help. I said, your guys are going to be better than me, probably. He said, nah, man, just think about it. And I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. Fly your teams out here to Utah. at that time I was managing a conduct disorder unit for a mental health facility. I had like a 20-bed inpatient facility. I was program director. And I said, fly your team in. If I beat one of you guys, I'll take your spot. So I started just going to the track. I jogging and stretching, only jogging and stretching, nothing more. He flies his team out. I beat everybody. So I joined the team one more year, and I helped him win the 2007 U.S. National Championships, and that was actually live on TV. That was pretty awesome. And the crazy part is, this guy, he was a big, strong guy. He was strong, but his push times were so slow, he couldn't be competitive. So on one race, I pushed him so much closer to the pack that our head coach, Brian Scheimer, he said that our push times were wind dated. And I said, we're in a tunnel. What do you mean it's wind dated?
What's the word? What term are you using?
Wind aided.
Wind aided. Okay.
Yeah. He said we pushed faster than he's ever seen this guy ever push. It wasn't because I was a great athlete. It's because the wind did it for us. The wind was blowing.
That's
the wind was blowing
timing.
too hard. Yeah. And so they went back to look at the video. Of course, there's no wind. We're in a tunnel. There's flaps down. Where's the wind at? There's no way wind can get here anyway. And so he later recanted that statement. And so the first selection race, we finished third. And at the second one, we tuned up some things. We made some changes. And we did something that we've never done before. Usually I'm all the way on the back. And I figured something out. I figured, since I'm the fastest guy, I put me in the number 2 spot. So all the athletes couldn't get in that sled until I got in that sled. And if I'm the fastest guy, you got to stay out there and help me. And so when we did that, our velocity was so much stronger. And we beat everybody live on TV. And coaches were not happy about that. They were not happy. And I have the film. I can see the footage. I still have that stuff. And at that point, I said, I'm done, guys. Lose my number. Call me to say hello. But I'm not coming back. And that was the wrap.
So it's a misnomer to think the fastest guy is in the back. You maybe changed people's way of thinking at it by putting yourself in the number 2 position. And like you said, you're leading and they just have to follow your lead and sort of draft off of you, kind of?
Yep, absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
Did you change the sport a little bit?
I don't know. After that race, I won that title. I took my medal, my plaque, and my flowers, and I walked away. And it was kind of like a redemption because I knew what they were doing, trying to keep this guy from moving up the ladder. And I helped another guy out, and I moved on with my life. And I never spoke of bobsledding to anybody for years. And then eventually my memory started to fade, and I forgot that about the awful things they did to me. So whenever people brought up bobsledding, I had all these happy memories, and I had forgot about all the negative. It totally has slipped my mind.
Wow.
Because my mind was fading. Yeah.
Okay, how old are you when you start to examine the loss of memory?
I don't have an honest answer because there were things happening to me, but I don't really know because if you can't remember, I can't remember.
Right. I knew it was an unfair question, but I figured I'd try. So
you tried to trick me, huh?
No, I have my own issue with my brain, so I'm trying to more than ever stay. You and I talked about what I experienced, so I'm just trying to stay as sequential as possible. So based on that answer, the way that I will now rephrase that is: were you well into your 30s? When you started?
Yes.
Okay, that's where I was going based on your answer to the last question. So you're well into your 30s and you start to become aware of memory loss.
No, I wasn't aware of memory loss then. I wasn't aware of the memory loss. Now that I look back, I know exactly when some things that I was seeing that was happening, but the memory loss part, I didn't really like when it was evident in my life. I was in my 40s.
Okay.
Like right about 40, somewhere around there.
Okay.
But what I know now, looking back, it was actually starting when I was still on tour.
Okay.
It was happening then. Yeah.
How many concussions do you remember? I hate to say, I hate the fucking word remember, so forgive me. How many concussions do you think you had when you were competing?
Well, now that I know how the sport works, every time I went down that bobsled track, I was getting a micro concussion or a major concussion.
And that's because, and
So,
you talked to me about that. You said it was like a 5G roller coaster effect. Am I correct?
well, we thought it was a 5G, is what I was told. But an article by the New York Times came out called Sledhead, and they said they tested the track in Canada. That's one of the mildest tracks in the world. I can literally take a nap in a sled going down that track. It's so not violent. There were spikes of 84.5 G forces reported.
All right. I do not know how to translate that. Can you translate that?
Okay, our fighter pilots who do the bank turns, they're the only people on this planet who pull the same G forces as us.
Okay. All right. There you go.
I once took them down the track. They only pull 6 Gs. We took them down the track one day after I did 7 rides that day. They did 1, and they were rattled. And it didn't make sense to me back then, but it's always set in the back of my mind. But the truth is, the brain is not made to do 84.5 Gs. It's just not. That's why all the athletes are sick now.
I would
That's why we have
imagine,
so many-
did
Yeah.
when you say they were rattled, so they were able to convey to you they were rattled, but they didn't know why.
Oh, can you repeat that?
I'm just spitballing. So these fighter pilots that went down a sled were able to convey that it was more intense than being in a plane.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And
As a matter of fact, there
Okay.
was an article that came out, once again, New York Times. It came out December 2024, and it was actually the fighter pilots have the exact same issues as us: Parkinson's, seizures, strokes, dementia,
Yep.
all those things. It's identical. And yeah, I took that article, and I was really trying to help those guys because I know the connection now. I've connected these dots. I know what this is. I sent it to my lawyers, and I took it to the judge. And as soon as I took it to show the connection, to help these guys, only to help, it was scrubbed from the internet. It was scrubbed. And so I have a copy that a link that the New York Times sent me, so I can always share it with you if you want to see it.
I'm good with what we're doing. I'm just also trying to stay on track and just make it sequential. So
Okay.
at the point where you were having what was the situation that a fighter pilot wanted to have that experience, or you wanted to give a fighter pilot that experience? You know what I mean? How did that come about?
I don't know. They just showed up at the track one day, and
Okay.
they were going down with us, and that happened pretty frequently at the big races. They call it forerunning.
Okay.
Like one year, as a matter of fact, at the World Championships, the Olympic marketing team, the bobsled marketing team, they came to me and they said, "Will, we heard you were in a movie called Jerry Maguire with Cuba Gooding Jr." And I was like, "Oh, absolutely." And they said, "Can you think you can get him to come out here to be a forerunner for the World Championships?" And I said, "Do you have a budget for him?" And it's like, "No, he had to pay for himself." And I said, "Well, I'm not going to call him." So I didn't call Cuba. And they always send people down that track. Some people just go up to those tracks and pay $300 to take a ride down the track.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
What was your role in the movie? I was not familiar that you did that.
Yeah, it was a movie called Jerry Maguire with
Yep.
Tom Cruise and Cuba
Yep.
Gooding Jr. Yeah, they gave me 5 uniforms, and I was hired. I was a fast guy, so they just wanted me to run up and down the field and make it look like there was real players on that field. And
All right, so it was in the football capacity.
yeah.
Got it. So Tom Cruise never made it in a bobsled, it sounds like.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did. He's a extreme sport freak. But I took Cameron Diaz down the track one time. She's an extreme sport freak like that too. And she didn't like it very much. She didn't like it. She was speechless afterwards.
Wow. All right. So we got off track, but that was definitely interesting. So you had symptoms, but your awareness of your symptoms didn't come until at some point in your 40s. Yes?
I'm sorry. Which symptoms?
Whatever you were experiencing, like you alluded that looking back, you could remember the good, you didn't remember the bad, but at some point in your 40s, you became more dialed into the memory loss. Fair?
Well, actually, it started in my 30s. I was
Okay.
still racing I was still competing when it started.
Okay.
Actually, what happened is I rationalized it, so I never really understood it. But like in the middle of the night, or sometime I would just panic because I wouldn't know where I was at, and I would have to jump up and turn the lights on and look around the room. If I saw the painted brick white cinder blocks, I know I'm at the Olympic Training Center. And if I saw those spooky eyes and the pictures that follow you, like in the haunted movies, I knew I was somewhere in Eastern Europe. So, but I rationalized it. I said, you know what? I'm representing my country. I'm traveling. I travel so much, I don't know where I'm at. But that was the beginning of it. And then also one time I went back to visit some friends in Salt Lake, and this was like 2004 or five, I believe. I'm not quite sure the year.
Okay.
But my friend said he saw a young lady walking in the door. We were out there shooting pool, and then he says, your ex-girlfriend coming in. And I looked at her and I said, she's pretty, but I don't know her. And she sprinted over and she jumped in my arms, and I caught her. And I went, uh-oh. But once again, I rationalized it, oh, I'm an athlete. I have lots of friends, and, all the ladies love all the athletes, all the stupid things athletes think at the time. And I was no different. And but the truth is my memory was slipping at that time. And I was probably about 34 or 35, I think.
How did you eventually remember that they were right? It had been someone you hadn't been involved with.
Well, she ran over and jumped in my arms.
Well, there you go. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right, got it. So, all right.
Yeah.
So she connected the dots for you.
She connected them for me.
Okay.
Yeah. And that wasn't the only time that happened. It happened a few times like that with friends and people I knew. And it still kind of happens to this day. Some people. So I got a little system I've developed over the years. I'm like, how are you doing? I never say names. And when I first moved to Hollywood, I would throw this party with one of my friends. He worked at Warner Brothers. Another friend of mine who worked at Joe Silver Company. Those are the people that he's a producer over there. They produce like the Matrix movies, things like that. And I hate to say the name of this party now because it's such a taboo thing, but we call it the Bill Cosby Ugly Sweater Party. And yeah, I had all these Hollywood executives coming to my party. It was my party. I'm the host, and here they are coming. I had 3 years in a row we did this party, and I'm seeing these guys at the Warner Brothers lot, but I just can't remember names. I can't remember faces. But somebody when they think they know you because they stand there and they don't really go away. And so I developed that thing like, how are you? I just learned to never say names, and that's just kind of what it was. And I still didn't know what was wrong with me at that time. I didn't know. I just I couldn't connect the dots.
You are, and I think I told you this when we spoke, you are making me realize the extent of dissociation. I can't believe I just said dissociation on when you have a psychological brain injury. The correlation to the things that you have pointed out to me both today and when we spoke, you were doing such an incredible justice to brain injuries, and I hope you recognize that. Because the things that I experience having a emotional brain injury are just ring-a-ding as you describe your injury. And it sounds like to me, and I don't need to be right, that's not my goal, and I know I've said a lot and you've asked me not to do that, but it sounds like you had both traumatic brain injury and then brain injury beyond that, stemming from emotional issues surrounding all that you've been through. The way you did, go ahead. I'm sorry. I said a lot.
No, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. I'm really still coming out of this thing. I was in dementia, and so like I'm still learning so much. And I'm not. Matter of fact, that's why you're so important to me, because like all these things I've been able to connect the dots with these different groups of people who are struggling is because I'm listening. And wait till we get to some of these other things we're going to talk about. It's going to blow your mind.
This ride has been incredible. We're at 25 minutes in the second episode. We'll have 5 more minutes here. You and this is hard for me too, Will, because now I'm flooded with about 17 things I want to say. So I'm interviewing you with my eyes closed to still try and keep us sequential, and hopefully we'll come back and hit the high notes. And I have no concern that what we're supposed to discuss, we are discussing. So don't worry. What I want to go back to is, so you're in the diagnosis. At what point did you know to consult doctors? Like what you alluded earlier, it took your teammates, somebody's suicide. Like what put you in the doctor's office?
Well, I had been in the doctor's office for decades, but I was looking at the wrong thing. I thought I had diabetes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I thought it was diabetes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
I thought it looks like low blood sugar. Remember, I'm cloudy, no energy. I thought it was diabetes. It looks like low blood sugar. And so I began to live off of caffeine, and I'm seeing doctors, and they're telling me, you don't have diabetes. Every year I go back, I'm like, can I please get my insulin this year? And they were like, no, you're not diabetic. And I was like, well, your tests just aren't sensitive enough. I've seen a lot of people with diabetes before, and I must have it. But it didn't make sense because I've always been a clean eater. That's why I was the athlete that I was. Even when I was a little kid, I was just this really picky, clean eater. And yeah, man, I'm looking back. I couldn't connect the dots. And it took for my teammates to die. It took for that article to show up before I could even realize. See, Pablo was in stage 4 of CTE. And yeah, I couldn't connect the dots to myself. I was looking up the wrong alley.
So the article was pivotal because you've mentioned it a few times.
Yeah, and the crazy part of that, I've shared that article with so many athletes trying to help them because now I see what they're going through. And I know what this is now. That's once I figured it out. And they all told me the same thing. Like, nobody can connect these dots themselves. That's why you see these NFL guys and these veterans, I don't want to jump around on you because I know I want to mess up your system, but
don't worry.
That's why you see so many suicides and
I'm at your mercy because this is, I don't mean that negatively. Keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how, but watching these guys is how I connected the dots. I'm learning. And because I was a counselor, like now I'm starting to, when I got a little bit of clarity, I'll get a little bit of chances to research some things. So once I knew Pablo was in stage 4 of CTE, now my algorithm on my internet changed. So on days when I could research, and that's how I figured out what this was. And it took a lot of people to die. And like I was telling you earlier, you mentioned things about like some things I don't want to talk about. Like I was like that before because I was embarrassed of how I spoke. Now, when I started, like around 20, until I started getting help. Like I couldn't put together sentences very well. I struggled with words. I still struggle with words sometimes, and I couldn't count anymore. So I don't want people to see me like that. I was a public figure, and I don't want people like to be knocked off of a pedestal like the way I fell off that pedestal. Even I have hundreds of clients around the country who wear my programs, and they call me dad. And here I am afraid for them to see me like this. And Matter of fact, and the irony is, when I opened my treatment facility that we spoke about earlier, the state opened me as a pilot program because it was new. It was a new innovative thing. And the truth of it is, I was less than 10 years older than these young men who lived in my program. These are the men who called me dad. And I didn't understand the significance of that then. But now that I'm older, I do. I'm looking at these kids now. They're in their 30s and 40s and still trying to figure things out. And I was running facilities. But I tell you what, that sport knocked all of that right out of my brain. And it knocked, it destroyed my brain. It really did.
Thank you for listening and supporting Natural Born Redhead. If you follow the bouncing balls, please like and subscribe. If you know someone interested in sparing others grief and inciting joy, message me on Facebook or reach out via my website, Natural Born Redhead. J-Ma.